Sometimes, the scariest truths are the ones whispered in the quiet of your own home. Last night, James finally opened up. Not about the road he walked, not about the wound on his leg, but about something darker, something he had buried since childhood. And just when Diep thought she finally understood what he went through, James said one sentence that changed everything. Diep, this isn't the first time my father sent someone to follow the woman I love. From that moment, the entire house felt different, as if shadows clung tighter to the walls, as if every sound outside held a warning, as if someone might already be watching. Tonight, you'll learn the part of James's past he has never told anyone, not Diep, not Lee, not even himself. And if you don't want to miss the truth finally coming to light, please subscribe. Every new supporter helps this little series stay alive. Morning sunlight crept through the gaps in the wooden walls, painting thin amber stripes across the floor. The house was quiet, too quiet. Even Dawn, who normally paced around the yard by this hour, sat stiffly near the door, ears raised, body tense. Diep didn't like that, not one bit. She adjusted the blanket around James, who was still asleep on the wooden bed. His breathing was steady now, but the exhaustion clung to him like a second skin. Every once in a while, his hand would twitch, little remnants of nights spent running, hiding, hurting. Diep smoothed the hair off his forehead. Rest, she whispered, just rest. But her eyes kept drifting toward the door, because the quiet wasn't peace. It felt like waiting. A soft knock broke the stillness. Diep stiffened. Dawn barked once, deep and warning. Before she could open the door, Officer Lee stepped inside with a grim expression, removing his sandals as quietly as possible. "You're early," Diep whispered. "I didn't want neighbors hearing," Lee replied. His voice was low, clipped, carrying weight she immediately recognized. Bad news. Diep's stomach dropped. "What did you find?" Lee glanced at James's sleeping form before leaning closer. "Two things," he said, "and neither of them should be ignored." Diep braced herself. "First," Lee continued, "someone accessed the border security system last night. Not officially, and not with a local login. They searched for James's travel records." Diep's heartbeat doubled. Who would do that? "I don't know yet," Lee said, "but the access was routed through an encrypted line. Expensive equipment. Someone who knows what they're doing." She swallowed hard. "And the second thing?" Lee hesitated. For a long moment, he didn't speak, just looked toward the bamboo grove behind the house, where morning wind rattled the leaves in restless bursts. "Last night," he finally said, "a man was spotted on the outskirts of the village. Middle-aged, well-dressed, didn't talk to anyone, didn't check in with local authorities." His jaw tightened. He matched descriptions from James's past statements. Diep's blood went cold. "His father?" she whispered. Lee didn't confirm. He didn't have to. Diep pressed a hand to her chest, trying to steady her breathing. "Is he coming for James?" Lee's silence was the answer. Before they could speak further, James stirred on the bed. His forehead creased, breath hitching as if waking from a nightmare. Diep immediately rushed to him. "James," she whispered, brushing his arm. "It's just us. You're safe." He blinked slowly, confusion thick in his eyes. "Diep, what time is it?" "Early morning," she said softly. "You don't have to get up." But he tried anyway, instinctively, like someone who had spent too long in survival mode. Pain shot up his leg and forced him back down, sucking the air from his lungs. Lee stepped closer. "Don't push yourself." James stared at Lee, at Diep, then at the open door behind them, where Don remained rigid as a statue. "What happened?" James asked, voice raspy. "Why do you both look like that?" Diep exchanged a glance with Lee. She didn't want to tell him. Not when he was barely standing on his feet again. But James wasn't a man you could shield with silence. He had already run through forests and storms to protect her. He deserved the truth. Diep lowered her voice. "Someone accessed the border files last night. Someone searching for you." James's eyes darkened. Lee added quietly, "And a man matching Trần Sön's description was seen near the village before sunrise." For a moment, James didn't breathe. He didn't blink. Something inside him, something fragile, trembling, shattered. "He found us," James whispered. His voice cracked. "Already. He found us." Diep reached for his hand, but his fingers twitched away, not rejecting her, just reacting from sheer panic. "He won't stop," James muttered. "He warned me. If I ever tried to live my own life, if I ever walked away..." His voice broke. "He said he'd take everything from me." Diep felt her throat tighten. "James, he doesn't care who gets hurt," James continued, eyes unfocused as old memories slammed into him. "He doesn't care how far he has to go. He never has. When I was a kid..." He stopped. Lee stepped closer. "What happened, James?" James shook his head, breath shallow. "You don't understand. He wasn't just strict. A sudden noise snapped all three heads toward the window. A muffled crunch of gravel. Footsteps. Diep froze. Don bolted to the door, barking like fury. Lee's hand immediately went to his belt, where his badge and pocket baton were clipped. James tried to sit up again, panic seizing him. No. He can't be here. Not now." Diep pressed him gently back to the bed. "James, stay still. Your leg." But James's eyes were wild. "He's not here to talk, Diep. If he's watching us, it means he's already made his choice." Lee moved toward the doorway, posture sharp and alert. "Stay inside, both of you." The footsteps outside paused. Then, a shadow passed across the front window. Diep felt ice slip into her spine. Don growled, low and deadly. James whispered her name once, barely audible. "Diep." For a split second, she looked back at him, pale, trembling, helpless, and something inside her hardened. She stood. "Lee," she said softly, "if it's him, don't confront him alone." Lee nodded without turning. "I won't, but I need to see who's out there." Diep stepped closer behind him, her breath shaking. Lee reached for the door. The wooden latch clicked. The door creaked open, and the morning light spilled in, illuminating a figure standing at the edge of the yard. Diep gasped. Lee's eyes widened. James's heart stopped, because the man at the gate wasn't moving. He was waiting, watching, and he looked exactly like the ghost James had been running from his entire life. The yard fell completely silent. Even the bamboo grove behind the house stopped rustling, as if the wind itself was holding its breath. Diep stood frozen beside Officer Lee. James struggled to sit up inside, gripping the edge of the bed as if the wood could stop his legs from shaking. The man at the gate didn't move, not a step, not a breath. Only his shadow stretched long across the dirt path, cutting through the sunlight. Diep whispered, "Lee, is that..." Lee lifted an arm, just slightly, blocking her from moving any closer. "I'll handle this. Stay behind me." But Diep didn't step back. Not this time. Lee called out, "Sir, identify yourself." The man lifted his head slowly. His face came into view. Not cruel, not cold, not the sharp, intimidating profile James remembered from childhood nightmares. Instead, he looked scared. Truly, deeply scared. Lee's brows furrowed. Diep blinked in confusion. Even Don paused mid-bark, tail stiff, unsure. The man raised his hands carefully, palms open. "I'm not here to cause trouble," he said in a trembling voice. "Please, please don't be afraid." Diep and Lee exchanged a confused glance. Inside, James stared hard, disbelief slowly replacing fear. "That's not him," he whispered. "That's not my father." Relief washed through Diep's knees so fast she nearly collapsed. Lee didn't relax. "Then who are you?" The man swallowed, voice cracking. "My name is Ben. I was told this is where James lives now." Diep's skin prickled. "Who told you that?" The man hesitated, then looked directly toward the open window where James sat. "It was your friend," he said quietly. "The one you saved on the cargo route." James froze. "You..." His voice shook. "You're the boy from the hospital?" Ben nodded. "I heard what happened to you, and I heard someone dangerous might be looking for you, so I came to warn you myself." Lee took a step closer, still cautious. "Warn him about what?" Ben's eyes darted around, as if he feared being overheard. Diep felt her stomach twist. Finally, Ben spoke. "There's a man asking questions about you. A powerful man. He paid people to search the border route. He's looking for anyone who might have seen you or helped you." James exhaled sharply. Diep whispered, "His father." Ben continued, voice trembling harder now. "I didn't know who he was at first, but last night, someone showed me his picture. They said his name was Trần Sơn." James's entire body went rigid. "When they asked me what I knew," Ben said, "I pretended not to recognize you. I lied to them, but I don't know how long they believed me." Diep stepped forward, fear carved into every word. "Ben, did they follow you here?" "No," he said quickly. "I made sure of that. I took back roads. I slept in a rest stop. I didn't come straight here. I didn't want to lead him to you." Lee nodded slowly, processing. But James wasn't moving. His eyes had gone distant again, as if reliving memories he wished he'd buried deeper. Diep knelt beside him, touching his hand. "James, look at me." He didn't. "James," she repeated, firmer this time. Finally, he blinked and met her eyes. "I told you," he whispered. "He doesn't stop. Not when he wants something. Not when he thinks I'm disobeying him." Lee approached the doorway. "James, we need you to tell us everything. Everything you never said before." James shut his eyes. Diep tightened her grip on his hand. "You're not alone now," she said softly. "Whatever you say, we'll face it together." After a long, painful silence, James nodded once. Lee pulled up a wooden stool and sat across from him. "Start from the beginning," he said gently. James inhaled, slow, shaky. "When I was a kid," he began, "my father wanted control over everything. My school, my friends, my future. Even how I talked, how I sat, how I breathed." His voice thinned. "He said obedience was the only way to survive in the world, and if I disobeyed, he'd remind me." Diep flinched. "What do you mean by remind?" James swallowed hard. "Punishments. Locking me in rooms. Making me stand for hours. Taking things away. Threatening to send me far from my mother if I broke a rule." Diep felt her throat burn. Lee's voice softened. And when you grew up? He expected me to run the family business. James shook his head. But his business isn't clean. Hasn't been for years. Diep froze. Ben's eyes widened. Lee went still. What business? Lee asked. James looked down, ashamed. Smuggling. Under-the-table deals. Paying people off. Transporting goods across borders without clearance. Diep covered her mouth. And when I refused to join him, James whispered, he said he'd make sure I had no life outside his control. No friends. No freedom. No love. Then his eyes met Diep's. Raw. Desperate. When he found out about you, James said, voice breaking, he said I was disgracing the family. He called you a mistake. He threatened to erase both of us from his world. Diep's heart shattered. James. That's why I left, he said. That's why I didn't tell you everything. I didn't want his darkness reaching you. Lee leaned back, exhaling. Now it makes sense. What does? Diep asked anxiously. Lee's face hardened. The man searching for James near the border wasn't just a father looking for his son. He was searching for leverage. James stiffened. What kind of leverage? Lee locked eyes with him. Tu Diep, he said quietly. Your wife is the leverage. Diep's breath caught. James felt ice flood his veins. Ben stepped closer. That man, when he questioned people, he didn't ask only about you. He asked if you had someone waiting for you. A woman. A child. Diep's entire body went cold. James grabbed her hand, gripping it so tightly she winced. He can't have her, James whispered fiercely. He can't come near them. Lee stood. Then we'll have to prepare. If Trần Sơn is moving, he won't approach openly. He'll test your fear. Press where it hurts. Diep felt her heartbeat shake through her entire body. James swallowed. What do we do now? Diep whispered. Lee's expression was grim. Now? He said. Now, we get ready for the moment James has been running from his entire life. James lowered his head, voice barely audible. I knew he'd come eventually, he said, but I didn't think. His voice cracked. I didn't think he'd come for the people I love. Diep squeezed his hand, tears burning her eyes. We're not afraid of him, she said. Not anymore. James looked up, and for the first time, he didn't look like a man running. He looked like a man preparing to fight. In this episode, the tension inside the small wooden house grows heavier as James slowly recovers from his collapse. Yet the deeper truth behind his exhaustion finally surfaces. While Diep takes care of him, gently urging him to rest, James begins revealing pieces of a past he has never dared to speak aloud. He tells her that the fear he carried on the road home did not start in Cambodia. It began years ago with his father, Trần Sơn. Every controlling habit, every shadow from his childhood has returned. And when James admits, my father once sent people to follow the woman I loved, Diep realizes the danger surrounding their home is far greater than she imagined. Meanwhile, Officer Lee senses something is wrong and begins digging. By the end, one thing becomes clear. James's past is no longer staying in the past.